seagulls follow the shore, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
And as we say now in my country, they brought the buzz and they left the buzz in front of the goal.
And the guy's talking absolute nonsense. Never heard so much rubbish in my life.
Normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
I'm telling you, don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, here we go. Sunday Sesh. What's happening? -12 outside and all that in April. It's all coming together nicely, lads. How's everyone feeling today? I've had a hangover from hell. Apologies, there was no blether this morning. David is celebrating his first wedding anniversary, so congrats or whatever it is you say on that. Happy anniversary to David Logue. So there was no Sunday blether because I was in no fit state to come on at that time. In fact, to even get on for 4:30 was a bit of a push, so I'm here. But I don't know about you. I mean, on Celtic, not Celtic social media, but most people I follow on Twitter, for example, are Celtic fans, and it seems to be everyone's having the worst hangover of all time. And the worst thing is, well, the best and the worst thing is I've got to do it all again tonight. I will be at Liam McGrandle's tonight. Big shout out to that legend. So, yeah, I'll be going to see him with Jonathan later on. So I'll be back to square one tomorrow. Right. We are joined today by Phil McGinley and Connor Carr to sort of round up now the dust has settled. And we're going to be looking at what the landscape now looks like for the rest of the season for us predominantly, but a few digs along the way, I think, at our nearest rivals. A few glances over the fence. And then, of course, we will be looking at the reactions from our managers after the game and players. And we'll sort of contrast and compare who's living in reality and who's living in denial. Before we get stuck into all that, though, lads, all that good stuff. So if you have not already liked the video today, hit the like button for us. If you want to give it a share, do so now on your social medias, class. If you've not subscribed to the Boys Say Bus, which is totally free, you're off your head. Why no? Like, share, slag my hair. It is all welcome. Or if you really want, you can become a Boise Bus member like so many of you have now. $1.99 a month, completely optional. Scott Cameron, Danny, Jim C, Joseph McGonigal, Monty, Ali. The list goes on. Stoned Outlaw, there's another one. They're everywhere, Boise Bus members. Legends, man. And we appreciate it massively. Don't need to worry, content will always be free on the bus. Anyway, right, enough of that shite. I hate doing that. It's so uncomfortable doing it. I don't know how folk do all that. Hey guys, don't forget to like this video at the end. I don't know how folk do that shit, man. It's just not me. Right, okay, Phil, you were there. Talk us through your overriding emotion now. As I say, the dust has settled a wee bit on yesterday's title win, effectively.
Emotion is definitely the word. At full time yesterday, I really felt like I'd been through the ringer with that one. I mean, it's all well and good, like the one early in the season, beating them 4-0. It's all fun and games, a pure party atmosphere. But yesterday was, I would say, a proper war of attrition, is the words I would use to describe it. It was something else, sitting through that one. And yeah, by the end of it, I was just absolutely drained. It was like, I got home and I was like, I could sit and just stare at the wall for like an hour just to like calm down or something. It was a hell of a game, but just to satisfy any win over them, obviously, it's satisfying either way. And we worked hard for that one. I'm not going to sit here and say that we were at our shining best. I think that's quite obvious, but we did enough to get the job done, and that's all that matters at this stage of the season.
Well, I think you've been very honest there, Phil, and I think we will obviously sort of look at the nooks and crannies of the performance itself as well today, because there was a few question marks at the end of it as to I wasn't quite sure how I felt about the actual performance. But It's a feel-good Sunday. It's Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, everyone, as well, by the way. I should have said that. But also, Connor, we've got to enjoy the moments too. We can get semi-critical of the display in a wee bit, right? But first and foremost, you as a Celtic daft supporter, do you know what I mean? How does it feel when you now know that is it? The door is not, there is no, slightly ajar door. It is completely shut, closed. 3 derbies now for Mickey, 0 wins, 12 points clear, 28 goals clear at the top, I believe, as well. It's a decent
Yes.
I think it's 28. So that's a decent place to be in, mate. You must be feeling good this Sunday afternoon, pal.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. It's, I feel like we're all finally able to take a step back and take a breath and enjoy the rest of the season, come what may, because it's signed, sealed and delivered as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure we're all in agreement. So, it's a good place, and I don't know why it comes as a surprise to a lot of people, especially in the media, but when you look at the facts, it's just Celtic have been unstoppable all season. Bar a couple of blips, but it's just a brilliant feeling. It's the run into the end of the season, we're going to, get lots of different opportunities to see how, new players come in, play and stuff. So it's going to be really enjoyable. And I think, we could go for, the cherry on top of getting the treble and the points total as well.
Well, that's it. And I mean, I think, see, from my point of view on it as well, I just think when you get that result, it's not just about the performance. The performance we can look at in a wee second, right? We see the actual consequences of a win like that yesterday. It is absolutely, it's devastating for them in the sense that realistically by the beginning of April, it was over. Terry called it in December, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? He literally said in December, I think that's it, done. And it's where your opposition really find the courage of their convictions, the strength to sort of play out the rest of this season with real clarity, purpose, whatever you want to call it, because I think that was one that was a hammer blow for them. They'll not come and play much better than that. I don't expect next season at Celtic Park. Celtic won't play much worse. But to be honest, Phil, we've said that 3 times this year already. Ibrox, League Cup final for 60 minutes, I don't think we were at it then. It was a blistering start. The opening 10 minutes at Ibrox was good. Hampden, maybe we had a combined half an hour of being the better side. And yesterday it was very much scrappy display. Yeah, they can't beat us. It's fucking got to hurt, mate. And that's the thing. See, from our perspective, and it's brilliant, by the way, when you get to 2 in a row from where we were. And it's so easy to always fall back on that argument. But I feel like sometimes when we got bad results, for example, in Europe this year, I think people were too quick to go, but remember where we were. I think it's at moments like when you win a title and you're beating your rivals at the end of the season, and what was a title decider, if you like, it decided whether Celtic were winning it in April or May. But I think from that point of view, that's when you can start looking at, fucking hell, we've came a long way here domestically. We were miles off it this time 2 years ago. In fact, a million miles off it. and now it's all completely turned around. With the top dog, we look on the park. I don't know, like the season's now tiring them out a wee bit. I think we've not quite as creative, etc. I think that squad will be strengthened big time. And do you know why? We're in a position to do so now. And it's building from a position of strength now. And this is the thing. Whatever it is that they take away, the other side as positives from today, and whatever chinky pish they give themselves that, honestly, like I think a couple of good signings will close the gap. What is Ange's mantra? We never stop. That will be off the field as well.
Yep.
You are not catching something that is standing still. You will catch something that is currently evolving, and never, ever, I think, had the actual financial clout that it currently does to back that up. They should be shitting themselves. The thought of this season it being a case of there not being a gap, there is a gap, is there even a gap? Is the gap not that big? Shut up! Because see, come next season, our team, I think, will be significantly improved with a better level of player than they could dream of getting. So whatever hope they had yesterday might have got them, that's as close as I think they're going to get to us for the foreseeable. Then the bigger picture, Phil, devastating blow yesterday for me, mate.
Massive one. I said it to my mate at the game yesterday because the way the first half was playing it and us starting pretty rocky, and for us to go and score the goal midway through the half, it was like, I guess how they know how we must have felt back in the old 1990s going on Celtic Darling here, but it's like we would dominate games, dominate that fixture, and they'd only get like one chance and they would end up scoring it. So the shoe was on the other foot with that one, but they definitely started the better team. That would have been an absolute sickener for them. And yeah, surprise, surprise, what we talked about the other night, where there was all these quotes going around about, after the League Cup final, if we play a Cantwell and Raskin, that's it, that's the secret to playing. And I did say on Thursday night,
that's right.
What if we win after they play on Sunday? Where does that leave them? What's their next harebrained scheme? What are they going to base it on next? And exactly what you said, this is something I've seen a million times, especially when we get to this stage of the season. It happened a lot during the Brendan era as well. As we're getting to the end of the season, they're always thinking about next season. It's always like, don't worry, when the manager gets his signings in, that's it. We only need like X amount of signings, and they're always doing it under the idea that, do they think we're going to do anything? I mean, that's all well and good if we don't actually make any movement in the transfer. Do you actually think we're going to do nothing in the transfer window? Because that's the way it comes across. And I'm like, they're completely forgetting that we're going to clearly strengthen our team as well. There's no way that Ange will look at that performance yesterday and go, everything's fine. I'm happy with that. That everything went swimmingly yesterday. We don't need to improve. 100% he's going to. But again, They're so blinded and they just don't realise. And it's like, you do know that we're going to make moves as well, guys. So again, it's just more delusion, nonsense from them again, based on absolute nothing. So I'm not even surprised. Every time we beat them, there's always but if we do this in the next one, or if we turn up, that's another saying they keep saying, if we turn up, we'll win. When he's going to turn up, didn't Captain Tav say in the build-up to that game there, they're going to see the real Rangers? We're still waiting. Where are they?
Well, I know. I think as well, Connor, when you look at how they've invested their money in comparison with how we've invested ours now. When you actually go through our team, I mean, Kyogo, let's just talk about him for a wee bit. Why not? £4.5 million, I think he was, or 4.6 million, Connor. Right? 4.6 million they paid for that left back. I don't actually know his name.
Yilmaz.
Left back, Yilmaz. You look at that and you go, this is the difference. When you're spending just like, hopefully, throw enough shite and it'll stick. Do you know what I mean? That's all they've done. That's all they've done. Ange Postecoglou has spent every penny at Celtic on the main very, very acutely, very wisely. See, I never said aware after acutely there. Did you notice that? He's spent his money very, very acutely. He's in a position where he's got a guy like Kyogo, Connor, for under £5 million, entering the peak years of his career when he joined us. He was 26 when he joined. He's 28 right now. He is in the form, I think, of his life right now this season. I think he's went on another level for me from last year. And the other thing about Kyogo is he's never linked to moves away anywhere. He's never shown, whilst I know he'll be hurting, by the way, about the Japan call-ups and stuff. He'll be disappointed that he's not in the 24-man squads when they're getting named. I've got a feeling that's more of a manager issue as well than maybe just like an ability thing. I think he's obviously got his squad sort of ideally laid out, because you look at Kyogo and you go, he fucking could have had so much to most sides, but he's not a player that ever seems to let his head go down, Connor, is he? He's no one who ever seems to have a bad attitude. Actually, I like Liam, the Punked Up Warlord's comment earlier. He goes, nice to see Kyogo giving a bit out. There was a bit of that yesterday as well. Big Davey's got it fucking stinking off him. I love that. But he knew what had happened to him before that. But what I will say is, in Kyogo peak years, if you're a younger fan, I know most are not who watch the bus, the demographic tells me that when I check it, and hey, we're a bus open to all. A lot of people will be able to go back and look at Henrik Larsson and remember Larsson's days. I think we've now got a guy who is coming, no, he's not of Larsson's level in my opinion, but he's a hero for the next generation of fans, as close to what Henrik was for my generation growing up as a child. That's why I think he's got that talisman way about him, that infectious character. You just see him at the end, he's a fan's favourite. He always sent forward. It's brilliant to see, and he's now doing it in the big games.
Yeah, he's got 5 goals against them in the last 3 games, so he's doing what we need him to do. You know, I know there was a lot of chat after the Champions League campaign, saying, "Oh, is Kyogo going to be one of these strikers that can only turn up against like here Dundee United, St Mirren's, here Ross Counties?" But you know, he's turned up now. He's scored against them. And he's in the form of his life, and it's absolutely brilliant to see. He's a player who never seems. I mean, there has been any really shit times for us recently, but if things aren't necessarily going well, say we're up against a team who are very, very stodgy and sticky, and things aren't just coming off for him. He's maybe not getting the service. He isn't running about screaming like, "Give me the fucking ball!" Like, I don't think he would say that anyway. Maybe in a different accent. But no, he's very much a team player. He obviously has the correct attitude that the manager loves. He's the golden boy, and rightly so. And he was clearly scouted for his tremendous ability, and it's a credit to the manager for the infrastructure and scouting network that he has and the knowledge he's brought. But no, Kyogo's absolutely amazing. I noticed we were all a few weeks ago saying, "Oh, how many does he need to score to get on the list for the Golden Boot, Ballon d'Or and stuff like that?" It's because he was getting up there, and I think obviously Haaland's just fucking wiped the floor with that. That guy's a machine. But no, on Kyogo, if you've seen the wee documentary that came out recently, a guy translated it all, which I thought was a good piece of work because people were obviously really keen to watch it. And he's just such a humble wee guy, and he loves the city, he loves the club. He gets given that bad news that he's not getting in the Japan squad, and he goes, "Well, that just means I need to work harder here. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, put my head down, work harder, keep getting goals." And even though he's a stick on now to get 30 plus goals, and they're saying, "Oh, I think he'll get 30, 35 goals." He's just like, I'll get a lot of goals, I'll get a few more goals, but we'll see. He's not, talking himself up before he can, go and do it. He's very much just saying, just wait and see, and I'll show you. Unlike, some other players in the league who like to do their talking before they can actually, walk the walk. But no, Kyogo's he's a fan favourite for a reason. And I'm not comparing the two of them, but he is this younger generation's Henrik Larsson, and I hope he stays for as long as Henrik stayed, because as long as we've got him up front, I don't think we'll have much to worry about, goals wise.
He's been an absolute breath of fresh air, and just not, the 2 A's, attitude and application, and he has got both in abundance, and that's the thing. Kyogo's came in, Phil, with no ego whatsoever. No. He's been an absolute stick-on to be in the first 11 because Ange hangs his hat on him, right? And the thing is, he has never took that as a I'm the big man here, I'm the top dog, etc. I also think there's an argument when I know people will be worried that this summer there could be bids for him, etc. Some of the younger fans seem to think that 28's old, Phil. Bastards, you know. I think he's in his peak years. It's funny you say about Larsson there, though, by the way. I don't know if you remember how old Henrik was when he joined Celtic. 26. He turned 27 his first season, 28 in his second season at Celtic, and went until he was 33. And I actually think he improved as a player. He got better as he got older. And I think, as I say, in my opinion, we've seen an improvement in Kyogo, which is brilliant. Other thing about this guy is, as I say, it's refreshing. But I also think that's a role model for a lot of the young. You need to have a mix in your squad, right? And undeniably, one of the ways Celtic can supposedly only afford, is getting younger players that need a bit of work and need a rough, was it a rough diamond, would you call it? And we get them, we shine them up and we sell them for profit, right? I think you need to have that balance. You need Cal Max there. You need Kyogo, who's a senior player, even though he acts like a wee boy. He's a senior player. He's 28. But these Phil are role models for the younger guys to learn from. The only way you're going to end up having this player trading model successful, right, is if the guys you bring in, say, for example, Bernabe, right? He comes in for 3.75 million. If you've got dreams of selling him for 10 one day, I know people will scoff at that right now, but if you had dreams of that, if that was the template, he's not going to get better just because he's got a good manager. You need guys in the dressing room. You need guys on the training pitch showing you the way, showing you how to be a model pro, showing you what it takes to get to the top. And that's why it's so important to have senior pros as well. And signing someone like Kyogo, entering his peak years for Celtic, firstly, you get the benefits on the park of what he brings to the party, right? Yeah. Secondly, I think you have that knock-on effect of, let's look at O, for example. Watching it and shadowing him in training. Absolutely shadowing his every move, going, fucking hell, this guy's at it every single day. Why is it Ange wants to play him every day? Why does Ange have him as his golden goose? I'll tell you why. I now know, because I'm watching him every day and I'm seeing the effort he puts in. I've seen how he lives his life off the park. And I'm seeing his contributions on the park. And by the way, just quickly as well, for a striker, he is not a selfish one.
No, you're right.
If he was more selfish, he would have more goals, which is even more scary. But as a team player, he brings everything at the park that we're looking for. And I actually think Kyogo is now in that sort of debate where you go, Angie's best pound for pound signing so far. Can't put a price on these goals.
Yeah, it's the goal return so far has been phenomenal. One thing that I hope that O learns from him, and any sort of aspiring young striker that watches him, one thing that I just love is, even though he has got quite a ratio of misses that he has in a game, he never hides from it. There'll be strikers out there in the world that might miss a few of the clangers that Kyogo's missed, and they'll go, they'll hide for the rest of the game. They'll head down and they'll be mortified after that, and it'll knock their confidence. But this guy just never, I know it's the term that we use, and for Ange, we never stop, but he literally never ever stops. There was one yesterday as well. I think it would get flagged offside, but it's one of the things. Still try and put it in the net anyway, because VAR might, decide it is a goal. And Ben Davies blocked it in the line. It fell to Kyogo right in front of goal, and Ben Davies slid and blocked it. And it's like, oh man, if he tucked that away, So he does still have his moments where he missed. We saw it in the Champions League, plenty of times as well. But I love that about him, where he just
Let me push back
never
on that,
hides.
Phil, do you think that the goals he scored 5 in 3 games against Rangers this season, do you think that's going to have a positive impact on his potential fortune or lack of fortune in the Champions League next year?
I would like to think so. One of the words that I've used a few times, but him and my Ida in particular, was always composure. I always feel there was some sort of, I just don't know what it was. In the Champions League, we saw it, where they just seem to lose all the composure. And the game at Ibrox, I felt, was a real turning point for both of them. Because Kyogo obviously got his first goal against Rangers, which was something that, was building. It was sort of nagging away. And then there's the Maeda one as well, where he was through on goal and he had a lot of time to think, and he tucked it away. And with Kyogo's one that day, it rolled him in the middle of the box, couple of minutes to go on the clock. The way things had went for Kyogo at times, you wouldn't have been surprised if he'd blazed it over the bar at the same time. But no, he was very composed. Now he put it away. Maeda threw on goal, plenty of time to think. And again, you wouldn't have been shocked if Maeda had missed that one that day. But he tucked it away, and they were two that came away from the Champions League champion. So a lot of criticism against them for the lack of composure in front of goal, but getting those big game goals is massive for them. And another wee point I just want to bring up, because obviously his name just came up a few minutes ago. Henrik Larsson just got mentioned. What about Jota's goal yesterday? Have you seen that one before somewhere?
I thought Larsson's angle, Phil, was way tighter. Then you see the video side by side.
Yeah.
It is actually scary.
That's Jota now scored a lob against Rangers at the start of the season.
I know.
And now he's done one where he went round the keeper and slid that away from an acute angle. And it's like, oh my God, that is freaky.
Have you seen him put up the thing on his Instagram? It's to comparing Larsson's goal with his. And he put up a thing saying it's inspired by the greatest.
Was he not
doing that's brilliant, that man. That's so good.
Was he not doing a thing on Celtic social media through the week where he was watching the Larsson goal? Like he was doing a thing where he was like watching on like an iPad or something.
He watched the chip.
That's
folk were like, oh, he's going to try and recreate it. I mean, he never recreated that one, but he recreated another Larsson goal.
Unbelievable.
So, you know.
So, just David Kelly also earlier on. I like to read out David Kelly's comments. I don't know why. I do, even when he
makes good points.
Yeah, even when he disagrees with me, I think. But he says no, Rangers are not Champions League level, so it won't have helped. I disagree in the sense that I think, whilst I agree that they're not Champions League level, that whatever whether you like it or not, the magnitude and the focus that these games get of fans, media's minds, put these fixtures on a stage, I think, for a lot of Celtic players, similar to that of the Champions League. Now, the thing is as well, the chances were getting created in the Champions League. It was the magnitude of the occasion that was getting to them. So even though these teams are much better than Rangers, we were carving out plenty of opportunities in the Champions League. I just think we were a bit like rabbits in the headlights. I think we were a wee bit wet behind the ears. I definitely think getting goals in the biggest domestic fixture you can, let's call it that, not a Champions League level fixture, but the biggest fixture domestically, stands Kyogo in good stead for the Champions League sort of hit that we're going to be hopefully doing next year, Connor. How much, pal, do you base the last, what will have been 6 months since we went out of Europe, right? Does your opinion always become more optimistic by the time the European football comes back round because you've watched us only against domestic teams for 5-6 months? Or is the reality we are better placed now? We can do it, we can make a bigger effort. Or is it all a wee bit like smoke and mirrors when you actually consider the opposition we play in domestically week in, week out?
I'd say it's kind of both. I mean, I know the campaign in the Champions League this season that definitely did not work out the way that we wanted it to, but you think about all the chances we had, 82 attempts on goal and only 4 goals scored is a crazy statistic. And some of the sitters and misses and shots coming off the bar and things like that, and we didn't look out of place, we didn't get the points, we got plaudits, but we got the plaudits because we looked like we should be there. We looked like a decent outfit. Granted, we never got the results to necessarily back that up. However, we now have had another transfer window. We have other players in. We have another transfer window in the summer coming as well. We have a cash boost for winning the league and getting, a Champions League again. So whilst, we know we look great and we feel great playing against the Dross in the league and, it can maybe cloud your judgment, I don't think there's a reason why we shouldn't be confident because we know we're a good side and we've proved it. We've taken scalps off of big teams and we've had really good performances. There's some Premier League teams in that have took absolute scuddings off teams that we've managed to beat over the years. And, I know it's all well and good theorising the now until we actually get the group given, but I don't see why we wouldn't be confident when we have the good players, an amazing manager, a footballing DNA in our team that is, raring to go and players that want to prove themselves in the highest stages possible, and we've got improvements in a lot of areas since we had that last Champions League campaigns. I mean, I'm talking Alistair Johnston for Ballon d'Or. I'm calling it right now.
Mate, he's a live one we've got there. Like, he is the boy. See, yesterday after about 20 minutes, me and Jonathan just went, he's the best player in the world. We were joking, do you remember that? We were like, the two was like, he's fucking unbelievable.
I've seen that picture of him. I've seen the picture of him making a bottle of wine.
How do you think that'll go down with the manager? I don't know if he'll like that.
Oh, I don't give a fuck, honestly. I think.
Really? I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
no.
Remember the dead stare with Juranovic?
Aye, that's because Juranovic is a fanny, but Juranovic was a fanny. It was a bit of, a cheeky chappy who liked to, and Alistair Johnston's like that as well, but, for all you know, he might just take a glug at it and then sat it on the table and then went away doing his business. But,
True.
I mean, I think we basically clinched the league title. He got man of match performance. It was immense.
By the way, could I just say, I mean, me accusing anyone of having a drink would be a wee bit ridiculous for me to judge that. I don't know. I'm just trying to contrast and compare it with the off tomorrow and just remember that, because that was all real. That death stare that Ange gave there kind of gives you the fear when you see it. You're like, what?
It's I always shit myself. That video comes up like we have like a bad first half, and it's like Ange after that first half, and it's him in the room with the Australia players, and he's talking, and then he just erupts. He starts screaming and banging the wall, and I'm just, oh shit. But no, I think it affects him in training. Like if he's like a bundled out in a corner spewing, he's got something. He'll be like, right, fucking you son, I seen what you were up to, what you got away with it, but no, I think big Ali Johnston's made the sterner stuff in that. I think he'll take more than a cheap bottle of Echo Falls to take down the lumberjack, but no, I think he'll be fine, but nah. So, like I was saying, got improvements on players from last season, going into the Champions League next season. I'm thinking it's looking good. I think we have a right to maybe be a bit confident going in.
Totally, mate. I agree. We're going to move on now to the reactions, Phil. And before we do that, it's 192 live. So a massive thanks to everyone spending some of their Easter Sunday on the bus. We do appreciate it massively. Like, share, slag the hair, all that, carry on. Right, Phil.
Yep.
Reactions. We've seen the two sides. Reality and denial. That is how I am going to literally split this. And we're going to start at the right place, and that's talking about our manager's reaction. Here's a man who lives in reality. So, of course, the alludement in the interviewers sort of questioning was, that's the title done. That's the title all done. And basically, Ange's reply, have you got a trophy with you? No? Probably suggests it's not done. That is reality.
Aye.
We're allowed as fans to say it's fucking done, right? But the manager lives in the real world. Until it's done, it ain't done.
Yep.
So when you hear that from the manager, and then this is where he gets it, mate. And this is not virtue signalling pish. This is someone who I think has now found that in the surroundings he finds himself, I think he's a guy who now knows the background, the backdrop to Celtic's story, if you like.
Yeah.
How a lot of people feel about this football club. I also think he's seen the impact that the COVID year had. Fans not getting to go to the football, and the impact I think mentally it would have had on a lot of our supporters as well, who that is their one release each week.
Yep.
Probably in a job that ties them down. I think he picked up on all those vibes very, very quickly. Here's another quote from him just to back that up. I told the players after the game, if you can make one person's life better, then you don't understand how rewarding and enriching that is. But they've made countless of thousands of lives better for the next few days at least. And they need to enjoy that and appreciate that because they've done something special. How classy is that? This is a guy talking our language. That is, as Liam McGrandles would sing, Celtic almost in his DNA now. That is what he is doing, mate. He sounds like he's one of us, And I don't think it's all the posturing and the bullshit that you see across the city. And I know Rebel 86 says nobody cares, mate. You're spot on, pal. Nobody actually cares what they do. Maybe we'll talk about it still in a bit. But you're right, Connor.
I don't know if this is true, but somebody just, it's not really relevant, but somebody's put in the group chat that Robbie Nielsen's been sacked for Hearts.
Oh.
Right, now I'm bringing up fucking Rebel 86's quote. Right, read this. Nobody cares, mate. Phil, we'll go back to the main man, Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah.
Take it away.
They quotes, I heard them yesterday on the radio as I was leaving the game, so I did hear the one about like if you make one person life. I remember the one from last year when he talked about the making people's lives after the 3-0 one, making people's happier after that result. So I remember all that stuff as well. But yeah, yesterday when he got asked the question where it's like, is it over, Ange? I knew right away he was just going to basically bat it away because he's too smart for that sort of thing. He always, he's never ever going to get caught out by it. Obviously, I heard the trophy comment. You got a trophy, mate? No, it's not over yet. It's just part of the course for you. And he just deals with them so well and how he, when he gets thrown these questions, they're looking for a quote, for a soundbite, something they can print in the newspaper the next day. Ange says it's over. He's not that daft at all. But yeah, he's just a classy man. And the way he does it, he just represents the club so well. That comment there from Kaiser, Celtic are in Ange's DNA now, 100%. It's not even without question. The guy's a perfect fit and just like a perfect ambassador for the club and the ethos of it and so on. So, yeah, he's a joy to listen to. And yeah, yesterday I say that was just more of it, just a couple of enthusiasm. Yes, as fans, obviously, yeah, we will, and we pretty much know it's over. But no, he dealt with it really, really well yesterday, that one. So, just more proof again how classy a guy he is.
Connor, he's absolutely right. And as he said as well yesterday, he felt privileged to be a part of it all. It's just quality. The way this guy is coming across now, we've seen, by the way, some fantastic managers at Celtic in my lifetime. I don't like to go beyond that for the bat. I know you're not comfortable doing it either, Phil, because you kind of feel like you're kidding yourself on if you know what I mean? Like, it's not because Celtic only invented in fucking 1993 or anything like that. I don't mean it like that. But I suppose when you're living it day to day, you've got that connection with characters, that are at the club at the time, just that wee bit more than when you sort of retrospectively try and look at them and put yourself in the shoes of what it would have been like to be a fan there. There's an element of that means you're faking it a wee bit. You can't, because you just can't experience it. But in my lifetime, we've had some really compelling characters in charge. Martin O'Neill, I felt resonated with me. Absolutely resonated. I just felt he was a guy that, I don't know, he just felt like he was one of us. He was really, even the jumping about in the touchline, the absolute lack of fear of confronting what he felt was bad decisions, confronting sectarianism or, let's call it anti-Irish racism. That's what it is. And I thought he did so much that seemed really genuine and from the heart. Brendan came in, did it very similarly. And other people have now moved to the fact he's a rat and he's a liar and it was all bullshit, or they're still on the page of, well, I know how I felt when he was there, and whether we like it or not, revisionism is one thing. Nobody was calling him out when he was saying it at the time. We were all on the Brendan bus, if you like. And let's be honest, he did connect with us. It's just once he left that, obviously it sours it. But let's not kid on, right, that when he was there, we were, very much invested in his personality traits and his style, his class, and his sort of gravitas that he had for the supporters, 13,000, I remember when he joined, for fuck's sake. Ange O'Connor comes in, and I think is managing to do a very, very similar sort of thing. He's now got that status. He's treated, like a messiah now, I think, by the fans. I mean, Ange could say the sky is purple, and totally, man. You know what I mean? It was Ange said it, man. Got to trust Ange. So he's managed to do that, but he's also carrying our club with class. Carrying it with class, representing, as Phil says, everything you want to hear from a manager. And do you know what? I'd say everything I want to hear. I'm always pleasantly surprised actually by some of the stuff he says because I don't expect it. And my expectations aren't that high. Some of them I was like, fucking, that's quality. And I think his influence around Celtic Park just now has been, it's hard to even quantify it in words really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad. The way that he gets the club and the supporters and what it means to people is, astounding. You just go back to last season as well. After we beat Rangers 3-0 at Celtic Park, he said, there's thousands of people in here who have day-to-day lives and problems of their own, and things that maybe are getting them down, and for 90 minutes we were able to take that all away and provide them with a form of happiness. At the end of the season, he made that speech. Was saying, you've embraced me, you've embraced my family, you've embraced my jumper and all this. And then he's like, we'll come back bigger, better, never stop. And I got goosebumps all over my body, and it just, he's saying that stuff yesterday, and it's amazing, having a guy who just gets the club and the supporters, and just you feel just absolutely loves this club and what it can bring to people, and it makes you so happy to see that day in, day out. Whereas it doesn't bullshit anybody. He doesn't say this stuff because he thinks it'll get him plaudits or lots of smiley emojis all over Twitter. He says it because he believes it, and he believes in his convictions, and he wants what's best for the club and for the supporters. And that's all we ever want from a Celtic manager, also to put in good performances and win the league. But football in Scotland is not a hobby. It's not a pastime. It's a lifestyle, and it affects you so deeply that you can have a discussion with anybody around the world about what it means to you. Like a Boston Red Sox fan could lose a game and they'll wake up next day morning and be right as rain. If we go and lose a game, it fucks you for like a week straight. And if you're not playing a midweek game, it goes on for a full week. You're just sitting there like, oh, I can't believe we lost. It's like, it's in your soul, it's in your bones, it's in your DNA. And that's what Ange is, understood, and he props that up, and it's excellent, and he's sharp darts as well. You don't think he knows what people are saying about him, and he's got a comeback, he's got another thing coming. And I think if Celtic don't release a book with all of Ange's quotes or something, then it's a huge missed opportunity. You could fill a book with the amazing quotes that he has. So long may it continue, man. I'd love it. I'd love it. Sit and read it every night, about a quote a day.
That's good. That is good. An Ange quote a day. That's a good way to set you up for the day. Let's contrast and compare time, Phil. You first. So I was listening. For my sins, listened to Sports Sound from yesterday, this afternoon, when I was trying to wake myself up for this podcast. Right? Oh my god! I was like, what was the score again? No, I'm like, but I listened to it, and obviously Mickey Beale did a lot of talking again. Now he's got to do these interviews. He's got to do these interviews. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck me though. I don't know. He's just not got to stop that. See, if he was a chef, he would ruin every dinner because he just put so many ingredients in it. He just fucking fuck it all up. He just can't stop. You know what I mean? He just can't stop talking. This guy, he's obviously bitching about the Morelos thing, right? But we did the Morelos penalty incident with Terry yesterday, so I don't want to dwell on that. What annoys me is that he rounds up his interview with that self-preservation pish yet again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm looking at the league table. I'm paraphrasing a wee bit because I was busy trying to get dressed and all that at the same time. But it was, he said something on the lines of, I know the gap is what the gap is in the league, but in my mind, it's not as big as that. So Ange is actually in the real world of saying, well, we've not won anything yet because there's no fucking trophy here, mate, basically, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to call a league title until it's done.
Yeah.
Mickey Beale, though, looks at the league table. Mm-hmm. The reality for Ange is it's not won yet when he looks at the league table. Yet Mickey Beale looks at it, sees a 12-point gap and decides, why don't I just tell people it's not actually 12 points? This is Emperor's New Clothes bullshit, Phil. What's all that about?
I've heard the expression, the league table doesn't lie, because obviously Michael Beale's never heard that expression before. You know, you've said it before, he's obsessed with this word gap. The gap, he's always going on about the gap. Even when he took over, he was always harping on about, I mean, I inherited the gap, I didn't make the gap. Well, it's now got bigger and you've had opportunity to narrow the gap against us and you haven't been able to do that. You had a cup final against us and you weren't able to beat us in that one as well. It's about time that he started taking some responsibility for his own problems here, but it seems like it's always Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's fault for him. You know, always self-preservation. You got to wonder why. Is he afraid that the Rangers fans are going to turn on him? Does he sense that they're ready to turn on him? So he's just trying to remind them, oh, by the way, guys, this isn't my fault, by the way. This is all Gio's fault. Don't blame me. Because maybe deep down he knows that he is a bit of a fraud. You know what I mean? Look at his CV. Look at his career. Chris Sutton, of course, called him out about it, saying, I Googled your career, mate, and basically couldn't find anything. You know? So it's like, does he know that, you know, the Rangers fans kind of like, I'm kind of living off the reputation of what we did with Gerrard winning that league title. And I'm in a really precarious position here where these fans are ready to turn on me. And it's just ridiculous amount of times he keeps coming out and basically going, guys, it's not my fault, honestly. It's not my fault, really. Stop blaming me. It is his fault. You know, how many games did you say he's been in charge of? About 23 of the 38 league games he'll be in charge of.
At the end of the season, Phil, it was 23 out of 38 games.
Yeah.
3 out of 4 league derbies. The semi-finals, I think they were in the League Cup when he joined.
Semi-finals,
and he's had the full Scottish Cup from...
It's not like he's came in as a caretaker with 7 games to go. So
it's weird, eh? So it's like, I look at that and I just go, there is a reality coming round for him that he doesn't want to face, because of course you've got to own your shit in life, right? And that is, and I think Ange has always been pretty up front. I mean, I think he had to defend the team a wee bit in his first season at the beginning, but I think he was telling a lot of truth when he says, you know, you call league titles here early and things like that, if you remember. And that wasn't self-preservation. That was, again, dealing in reality. We are 7 games into a 38-game season. I think this boy knows that eventually those optics, these stats that I'm reading out there, aren't pie in the sky fucking nonsense, Connor. Fans will start expecting the manager to carry the can when it's been 23 out of 38 league games. 3 out of 4 have been 3 out of the 4 Glasgow derbies he's been in charge of. That is your 9-point swing. That's it there. When you took over, it was 9 points. That's your 9 points there. And you are expected to beat the rest. That's what you're expected to do, right? At the very least. And the League Cup semi-final exit, again, I didn't think Celtic were a particularly compelling watch that day. Still pumped them. And then you get yesterday, where I think as poor as Celtic have been, it's another defeat. Scottish Cup semi-final coming up. And he knows that's on the horizon now. So he's got to get the self-preservation push in. But I just don't know. How would you feel? This is maybe a good way to put it. How would you feel if Ange tried to sugarcoat being 12 points behind and said something like, I know that is what the gap is, but in my mind it isn't as big as that? What would you feel, Connor, if you heard Ange saying that?
Really, I wouldn't really believe what I was hearing. I'd be like, is this guy not right in the head? Has he got a screw loose? Is he ill? You know, it's just it's Michael's Beale shit just every week now. We're hearing it. It's, you know, if I was a Rangers fan and I heard all that, it must just boggle your mind. You'd be like, are you seeing what we're seeing? Now, they're not necessarily calling for the manager's head, but there is a massive divide here between the support and the management team, because I think they're accepting now that they are still miles off Celtic. Doesn't matter how good they play or how badly we play, they still can't beat us. However, he somehow seems to think that they're on even keel, despite the fact that he has had more than ample opportunities to try and close the gap, and he's failed to do it every single time. He's had more than enough chances to do that. You know, there's been times where, and let's not also mention the fact we say it all the time, they have played first before us near enough every single week. We never got that chance to go 12 points clear, and they were playing catch-up. It was always us. We were playing catch-up to them. Well, catch up in the sense to get the back to 9, the gap back to 9 points. You know, there's things there, like you look at when he first came in, the results he was getting away with by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
Hibs, Aberdeen, Partick Thistle. You know, this isn't just against Celtic. This is against other teams in the league as well. And you know, we'll keep saying it, that this is going to come back to bite them eventually, because if they keep going this way, like it's banter years are back. The banter years are going to come back. You know, Christ is risen, so's the banter years. They're back today, as of today, is back. You know, if I don't know what the Rangers media team and you know the board are saying or are thinking when he's coming out with these statements, because if I had just got cuffed, well, no cuffed, but I was going to beat off my rivals, you pull him aside, like, what the fuck are you playing at? What are you saying?
I was going to say to you as well, what is on message now from the club? What does on message mean? Because there will be a narrative.
Staunch. That's the narrative.
But look how it's jumped, though. It's jumped from the financial disparity he started with, remembering it's, you know, it's not fair about Celtic's budget. He was crying then.
Yep.
Then he's kind of came out and says he's got unlimited resources and a more significant budget than I know Rangers in the past have had. That's now, that can't be, like, you can't be those two polar opposites aside. And I just feel like from my point of view, I'm like, wait the fucking now, man. Like, I wouldn't want to be getting those mixed messages, Phil. I would want to have whenever we listen to Ange talking or anyone from Celtic talking, we like to think we've learned a bit about what Celtic's fucking future is, what their actual ambitions are, and we maybe scrutinise it a wee bit more because we need things to talk about. But we do it from a position of, I don't really feel Ange has ever been in the virtue signalling thing. I don't ever think he's came out and been a kiss ass for our board either in particular. I think if you remember properly, he said in the first summer, maybe I've not been direct enough in my message that we need players.
Yep.
And I went, fucking hell, that was just a shot over the bow. You're not holding me, hanging me out to dry, pal.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And I thought that was fantastic. But Mickey Bill's changed his mind, you know, overnight on these things. He's telling Rangers fans the league table is lying. I wonder if they are a bit all over the shop right now. I don't think there's a strategic plan. I think he's full of pish when it comes to that, if I'm completely honest with you. I think when he's saying there will be 20... I mean, who's ever described the amount of players that will be in and out at Rangers as 25% as a percentage of a squad? No one's ever spoke like that. He's just talking shite. And I think, whilst that might make it sound like there's a plan, if I'm honest, I have a feeling he's not got a plan, and I don't think they do right now either. And I think there's, if you look at all the rumours and all the stories, and I know what you've heard it for years, Phil. I mean, you've kind of, you know, disregarded a lot of that in the past. To be fair, we've been pretty honest. About, you know, it's like fucking, it gets a bit boring. I think right now there is shit coming down the pipe. Right, that's the honest truth. I do think they're in choppy waters for some sort of reason. You can feel it a wee bit, you know. And I don't think there is a master plan there. And as we said at the top of this show, you know, Celtic is a moving space right now, not a standing still one. What strategy could they possibly, firstly, afford, let alone come up with, that will catch us this summer? And can they at all?
No, in terms of strategy, I don't think they have a solid strategy. It's all very scattergun at the moment, the way Mickey's jumping from one excuse to another. See, yesterday it's now officials and VAR and so on seems to be their narrative. Interestingly enough, we've obviously been saying, well, maybe not Celtic as a club have been saying it, but us as fans have been saying it for a while now, and it's like, oh, welcome to our world. We've been telling you for months that the officiating is horrendous. Well done, you finally caught on, but it does seem very much just jumping from one excuse to another. And again, he's got a bit of fear if there is change at their boardroom? Again, is he worried that I could be at a job here already? Because how he's managed to get to that job already at this point in his career is actually astounding, given what he's achieved so far as a manager. So maybe he's just like doing everything in his power. There's a self-preservation to hang on to it, so that if there is a change at boardroom level with you say, if there is shit coming down the pipeline for them, he doesn't get taking out the job and somebody else brings, or a new chairman brings in their own man. So maybe just do everything. Again, this whole thing, it's not my fault, guys. It's all Gio's fault. Please don't blame me. It does reek of that, and yeah, he's just jumping from one excuse to another, mate. That's all he's doing.
Connor, see when it comes down to it, and Beale's now been in the goldfish bowl environment now of Scottish football as the sort of figurehead at Rangers, as opposed to being able to, sit back and watch them lose 2 league titles and then win one, and he now takes all the credit for it. That's some position to have put himself in. Do you know what I mean? That was some position to put himself in. He could sit back, take none of the flack, and then when they win something, now tell everyone that basically he was the driver of that. And if anyone suggests that he was the head coach, he kind of likes it. Has he underestimated the fucking job? And do you think, with hindsight, he regrets now coming in to what is a shambles of a club, a shitey wee team, and a transfer window that is going to see 12 of their slightly above average players leaving anyway? Do you know what I mean? That's all they are. They're not good players. We'll talk about great players leaving. Ryan Jack, for example, Ryan Kent, Alfredo Morelos. Nobody cares, mate. Nobody cares. Do you know what I mean? But for whatever reason, these have been mainstays for years. They're all going to fuck off. They can't afford to replace them at any sort of quality. What's he got himself into? Especially when you look across the dugout and it's Big Ange and it's Celtic, who are now in a position where, whether they do or not will be another debate, and we'll do that plenty in the summer, I'm sure, but they are in a position to tool up the best manager in Scotland with a proper transfer window of excitement.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't care, but obviously it would be very daunting if you were in his shoes. The window of opportunity for them to do anything significant seems to be getting smaller and smaller by the day, and especially when you listen to some of the stories that are coming out with regards to court cases or money they owe, things like that. I do think he believes his own hype, though. He likes to smell his own farts, Michael Beale. You can tell. He's got that kind of look about him. He's a very much just a guy who believes his own shite, and he's all right there.
Sorry, anyone to see.
Brilliant, mate.
But no, he's just got that look about him. I always call him Del Boy because he's a fucking crook who believes the bullshit he's peddling, and he probably does think that there's this Scrooge McDuck vault in the back of Ibrox filled with gold doubloons that he's going to spend on players for a Barcelona or Real Madrid's academy and the best players for England and all the rest of it. And it's funny because I think the writing's on the wall here, with regards to what's going to happen. I think Celtic are going to continue to grow, continue to expand and get better players in and reach, Celtic's constantly evolving. They're not, sitting still, and they just seem to be treading water. And the Sharks are swimming now. The Sharks are circling, they're swimming, they're coming for their pound of flesh, and he's just trying to tread water and get out of there as fast as he can, in my opinion, because if they lose the next 2 games against us, if they lose the semi and they lose against us to Ibrox, which would be quite a task to do, but I do believe we can do it. He is then, right, and I know Gio got them -9 points. He single-handedly fucked them in the league. Gio only had one go against us. He didn't have the other opportunities to play against us and try and close the gap. But it's been him. It's been him in the door, and all of this is a coffin of his own making. Because he just keeps talking and talking and talking and talking, and it's exhausting. And it must be exhausting for their support as well, and for the people who are meant to be backing him. They must just be sitting there during his press conferences and post-match interviews just saying, "Oh, you shut up," because it's going to just get to a point where, they're going to have to just take him aside and say, "You are really costing us big time here with the shit you're peddling," and getting the players to come out and say. But no, I'll put it this way: Celtic never stop and Rangers never learn.
Oh, very good, very good. Who told you that one? That was good. Did you come up with that yourself?
I was going to something similar in the comments somewhere. I'll just take
Was it?
I'm bad for that, by the way. I hope that
Nothing
you
wrong
know
with that,
I'm
mate.
bad for that when I'm sleep.
No, nothing wrong with that, mate. Nothing wrong with doing a wee bit of pinching. Phil, we are going to round it up, but more of a focus, funny slagging Beale and all that. But let's get back to the Glasgow Celtic. Now, if we all now take the romance away from the fact we've won and effectively won the league, as a display, Celtic were pretty bang average yesterday. Let's be real. Celtic haven't been in the best form now for 4 or 5 domestic games, in my opinion. And I actually happen to think in the 3 derbies against Beale, for all his faults, I don't think we've played particularly well against them in any of the 3, despite the fact we come out unbeaten, unscathed. A draw at Ibrox, a League Cup final trophy, and basically a title clincher at Celtic Park. So the optics are good that way. But has the drop-off in form, the drop-off in form from what you see, is that something that could actually be coming? I know it doesn't sound right what I'm going to say here, but does it come almost at the right time, right, in terms of a summer strategy? Because sometimes if everything's too rosy, as it would have seemed after Brendan's second treble in a row, they didn't really want to invest because they didn't think there was as much of a need for it, if you like. Like, how can you improve on what we've got? How could you? And they then started penny pinching. This time around, we're seeing, I think, there are times where this team, for all we thought there was squad depth, we look at the window, as I've said many a times on the bus, the 2022 summer transfer window was actually very underwhelming. It was poor. Aaron Moy's been the best signing of the lot. There, I said it, from that summer. And he never played in the Champions League. Played 15 minutes, I think, in one of the games. That was it. So he wasn't ready to play in that. So that's not tooling up your manager for the Champions League. One guy who did play in all the Champions League games got shot of in January. So that tells you how compelling a signing that was. Hacksaw was very much in and out, and that's it. So when you look at it this summer, that wee drop-off has got to be seen as a slight reminder for us that the team can still be improved on. Ange now has a wee bit of evidence that come the final months, which in another universe could be the championship rounds, if you like, It could be a neck and neck title race. He's going to be saying, well, come March and April, I kind of needed more strength and depth, and I mean real strength and depth. And that strength and depth should be coming from who's in the first team currently, because we're going to improve on them. And then you're falling back on some of the guys that get in the starting 11. Don't be too loyal to everyone, You've got to accept we're an evolving club all the time, an evolving first team. So I wonder if the slight drop-off in displays, and I think there has been one, that's my eyes not lying, and I don't want to be overcritical. I think when we look at that, we go, maybe in the summer that kind of just shines a torch a wee bit more on any sort of deficiencies we've got right now in terms of first team squads, and gives Ange a wee bit of a stronger debate, a stronger argument, Phil, to go, told you, I need to up it again. We need to go again this summer. I mean, this summer, when you contrast it, when you look at summer 2022, we can't go down that road again. It's got to be more compelling. It's got to be braver. It's got to be bolder, and there is money to do it. I nearly sound like Desiree there. You got to be bold. You got to be bad. You got to be wiser.
I think with the style that Ange plays, common sense tells you that for 50-something competitive games in a year, we can't maintain that that style, that the battering teams that we're doing at the start of the season. You look at the results in the first half of the season, a lot of high scoring victories there, beating Hibs 6-1, Dundee United 9-0, and so on. So there's a lot of big ones. But since the World Cup, we've seen like 1-0 wins up at Pittodrie, and then recently we've had games as well where we've been behind to Hibs, Hearts, St Mirren were ahead against us, but we find a way to come back. So it's just naturally tells you that the
Right,
style of
I'm
play.
going to come in, Phil. Straight to you, right? Straight back to you, mate.
Yeah.
You've just said the words. I had this in my mind today that I was going to bring this up. You've just reminded me.
Mm-hmm.
How often in the last 5 or 6 matches, in the post-match, have we heard language, not necessarily just from the manager, not just from Calmac or whatever, but also in the media of, but Celtic always find a way. Now, that tells you the performance levels dropped off. That phrase has been used so often, and you've just said it there. But I'm so glad because that was actually that was in my plan to bring that up today because I think that's the telltale sign the form's dropped off a bit.
Yep. The other one that comes up sometimes is if a team's not played well, but they've found a way, and it's like, oh, that's a mark of champions. Instead of just going out and tanking teams 5-0 and so on, it's like, oh, they're finding a way to get through. So, and as I said earlier on, I don't think Ange would have been standing on the sideline yesterday and just like that meme where it's everything's on fire and going, everything's fine. He definitely looked at some of the stuff yesterday. There were moments, I mean, yeah, you're right. The games against Michael Beale's Rangers so far have been a lot closer than what we played against Giovanni Van Bronckhorst Rangers. So he has got a bit of a tune out of them in terms of making it a bit of a closer game on the day. Yesterday, there were moments where they did press us really well and force us into mistakes. But then there were other moments as well where we just made horrendous mistakes with no pressure on us at all. One that stands out to me has been quite early in the game. Carter Vickers went forward with the ball and then decided nothing was on and tried to pass it back the way from inside Rangers half and completely overshot it. And it was like he wasn't under any pressure at all. He just decided nothing's on, I'm going to pass it back the way. So there were just moments yesterday and all where we just made some daft choices on the ball. So again, Andrew will be looking at it and going, yeah, we definitely need a few more reinforcements here because we cannot maintain that style that we saw from the first half of the season for a full 50, 60 plus competitive games. So he's definitely going to need to go in the summer, and especially though if he does come in with, if he does deliver all 3 trophies, that'll be 5 trophies in 2 years. He's got all the leeway that he needs, all the stuff. Given what he inherited after the 10 in a row failure and what he's basically delivered, he can say, look what I've provided. You know, the proof is in the pudding. But yeah, there will be moments yesterday in some recent fixtures where he will look at it and go, we do need a wee bit more here. And you can always improve from position of strength. You said earlier on about Brendan's second season. Yeah, we won the treble second season in a row. The last couple of games against them that season, beat them 4-0 in a cup semi-final, 5-0 to win the league. But again, in the summer, we just kind of went, we're fine, you know, we're still sad. So you can always improve, especially now that, you know, we scraped by them yesterday. There's definitely, you know, a case for we need to keep pushing this here and making sure that we keep them at arm's length.
You're spot on. You're spot on, Phil. And I'm an advocate of that as well. You know that fine well. I'll be ramping up the pressure on the bus. Not that you give a fuck what I think, but you know what I mean. I'll be ramping up that narrative that I expect big things this summer. Connor Carr. Now we've seen Liam Greenlaw say in the comments, you know, one of the bus's favourite sons, and Celtic comes in, and Celtic's always in the chat. So brilliant to have you on again, pal. As they're obviously looking at the goalie as being one of those areas of improvement. Connor, I think he's getting it a wee bit tight for the free kick. I think one of the things, I know people expect him to save it. I watched it back today and again, the replay's doing him no fucking favours, right? The replay makes it look, because it's central in the goal, that was hit at a pace and a dip on it that I think we're just choosing not to give Tavernier credit for, which is fine because he's a prick and he's a serial loser. But at the end of the day, that was hit differently from it being like, see when you see the slow motion replay, it just looks like a wee loopy colour, you know, that's when it's kind of central and goal. But see if you actually watch the slow motion replay, what you should be thinking is, how come the delay by when Hart's diving, but when the ball's already behind him? I'll tell you why. That's the pace and the intensity the ball's being hit with. That is made of it up. I think he's getting a bit tight for that goal, in my opinion. But notwithstanding that, because there is different opinions in that, okay, and there is many people feeling like it was on the goalkeeper, I think this will become a talking point of the summer. Can we improve on Joe Hart? I think we can. Now, that's not me on a bashing of Joe Hart in the slightest corner. Reason being, as I've just said, I actually don't think he is as at fault for that free kick as made out. But because it's become a talking point, it does then bring up the debate again when you're looking at areas of the park in the summer that you can improve on. Will one of those be a goalkeeper?
Well, we have, well, we don't have sources, but, you know, well, got the lads in the group chat who know people, who know people, who know people's dogs, who know people who work in Celtic Park and whatever the fuck. There's rumours that we are looking for a new keeper. If that's the case, I have no idea whether that be a backup keeper, because we're going to give Joe Hart another season, or if it's going to be a first choice goalkeeper. However,
what would be the point of another backup goalie? We've got Sears and Bain for that.
Bain's stealing a fucking wage, Russell. Come on, you're stealing a wage.
But you need 3 goalies, so the third choice one's always going to steal a wage. To be fair, they've got to.
True. Right, with Joe Hart, it's a bit of a tricky one for me. I really, really like Joe Hart. I feel what he's provided Celtic from what we had has been tremendous. Not even just on the pitch, off it, with his leadership and his experience, etc. And, you know, he has made big saves in these games against Rangers. Now, look, let's give, you know, Captain Tav, you know, world beater, 100 goals with 97 of them are penalties for Rangers. You know, the credit, it was a good free kick. Only thing I think is maybe Joe Hart could have went a wee bit closer to his post, because as soon as Tavernier stepped up to it, I know exactly where that's going. That's going top. Well, they didn't go top bins, but I thought he was going to try and top bins in the left. That's where that's where he does most of them, because if you watch them, I think his last 2 have been that. I think the last 2 he scored. But no. I mean, even in the game yesterday, he made an absolutely crucial save against the walking cheeseburger, Alfredo Morelos. So, you know, it's so you know,
I have never heard that in my life. The walking cheeseburger.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
I'm just. Oh, Connor, man. You're becoming pretty fucking funny on this bus. I'm going to admit it, mate. You're like a cult hero. You're like,
maybe a rubber off for me. But no, he's made some really important saves in these games before, and you know he's done it time after time. He's put his body in that in the line for Celtic. If you think back to the 9-0 win against Dundee United, I guess put it in the fucking head, and he's just sitting there getting staples put in his head, and I'm just like, oh God, he's going to have to come off. Like, no way he's going to come back on. But you know he did, and he didn't have much to do that day, granted. But you know, we got to 9-0, and I'm like, we got a corner. I'm like, oh, how class would it be if Joe just went up for the last corner and stuck his nut in it and put it in the back of the net, and the stitches all burst, and he was running about with blood in his face, going mental. But no, Joe Hart. Do I think we can improve on him? Yes. Yes. Do I think we need to? I don't know.
I think you're being loyal because of all the good stuff he's done, and I get that, and I get it, because I think he has not just served a purpose, I think he's done fucking a hell of a lot for Celtic in terms of off the park as well. Remember I was talking earlier about senior pros. Surely he's got to be one of these examples you can say he has massively improved the mentality of young players coming into Celtic and what it takes to be top drawer. He's brought all that, but the facts of the matter are, if you just take the fact you like him off, those tinted glasses off, and just look at it in the cold light of day, sadly, Joe Hart as a goalkeeper is not the best we can have. And that is not me trying to be critical of him. I think for the 2 years, his purpose that he served has been absolutely phenomenal. I wouldn't be necessarily chasing him out the door either, Connor.
No, but I'd keep him with the backroom staff, with working with Stevie Woods and that, because the experience that he's got and what he's done could be invaluable to goalkeepers coming in and that, even the young lads. So no, I think if you just cut it in the middle, cut and dry, can make and should be improving Joe Hart. 1,000% yes, and his name is Vasilis Barkas. No, God, nah, man, he's got fucking horns at polo mints, but no. No,
I just feel like that area, Phil, is one of those ones where it's nice to be loyal to someone who's been a complete role model, treated Celtic with the respect I think we deserve. And by the way, Celtic's been very good for Joe Hart's career too. Third choice at Spurs. Third choice, remember, at one point at Burnley.
Yeah, that's right.
Third choice at fucking Burnley, mate. Nobody cares. So his career was going nowhere, right? We have given him that Champions League taste again, let alone winning trophies taste again. He must be very grateful for the opportunity afforded to him by Celtic too.
Yeah.
We've got to always be a wee bit like, remember who the fuck we are as well. And I just feel like Joe Hart has been amazing for us in the 2 years he's been there as a professional. But when I just look at it ruthlessly, without any, bias lens, do I think that goalkeeper, there'll be a better goalkeeper out there for Celtic? The answer is yes, and that's just my cold reality on it, which people can either agree with or disagree with. That's fine, but I think that's what my eyes are telling me, that we could get better.
Yeah, the man himself did an interview, didn't he, last season, and said that how it's reinvigorated his love of football coming to Celtic. He actually enjoyed coming into training now and stuff like that after many years, you say, in the doldrums. My feeling on the Joe Hart signing is, I actually talked about this a few weeks ago in the show, like, obviously he's a goalkeeper, so his first job is, does he keep the ball out of the net? Well, I'd say aye, he does, but I always felt that his signing, as he was a stopgap signing, because if you remember the circumstances we signed him under, we had just got beat by Michelin, I want to say, in the Champions League qualifier. I think it was that. We had Scott Bain and Vasilius Barkas, and Barkas had a shocker in that first leg as well. And the next day or a couple of days after that, we signed McCarthy.
Is that the double signing?
Joe Hart and McCarthy together. And we were linked to Joe Hart a year before when Neil Lennon was in charge. So it reeked of, they've went to Ange, we need some bodies in, especially after losing. We need to get some signs out, get the fans.
We have a list.
Here, he's picked Joe Hart. It's a stopgap signing that's worked out really well, unlike McCarthy, who just disappeared into the abyss.
I think you're so right here, Phil. They were both signed with the same purpose. One of them's cut it in the first team, and one of them, Ange, just went, actually, I'm going to need to be ruthless from the get-go on this one. But I think you're absolutely spot on in that. You're right. They're from a previous list. When it was a needs must situation, Ange can't get Iwatas at this point. He can't get Maitas at this point. And he's going, right, okay, keys that list as well then. And we'll need to get a couple of them that you think you can just kind of deal with for me. And then we'll see where we're at. You're spot on, mate. That's such a good analogy. That is right.
It worked too, obviously, for Joe Hart. So he's been a great servant for us for these 2 years. And I think, obviously, a new goalkeeper will be something we will be looking at. And obviously, Ange's priority is going to be a goalkeeper who can play out from the back will be a big thing. So, say Joe Hart's weakness is mostly he can't do the whole playing out from the back very well. But Ange will be looking at targets that can keep the ball at the net and play it from the back. That's his ideal goalkeeper. They are out there. I trust Ange to find one. But, I could see if we do sign one in the summer that's going to be Hart's going to start to get phased out. Because I don't think Seagrist is a long-term one. Whatever happened with that one, I don't know what's happened there. But
there was something weird though, Phil, when he was having the photo in Paris, wasn't it, with his missus, with a bevy in hand, and I just thought
he was maybe injured at that point, wasn't he? As well, well.
And I just remember thinking, like, again, these things don't bother me, but I'm not professional enough to be a football manager in life, and I just think the standards that Celtic would expect a bit more. If you're injured, what are you doing in that time? You're still getting paid. I don't expect you fucking gallivanting and posting it on Instagram that you're on the fucking Captain Morgan's, you know what I mean? A bit like me today.
We said earlier on with that wee Juranovic clip, the off tomorrow, and the way he looked at him, and it's like, it's not too similar for that. Ange will appreciate things like that, so,
it's interesting, that one. Connor, one area we will not be replacing, and this will be the last talking point. I know me and Terry spoke about it yesterday, and you alluded to it at the start of the show, but we've just got to. Alistair Johnston at right back, that is not a position we need to improve on in the slightest. This is not just because of some of his crowd-pleasing things that he does. I don't know if you... Phil, it's different when you're at the game, right, to watch it on the telly. Now, obviously, ideally, everyone's at the game that you would rather that. But the thing the TV cameras pick up that you can't pick up at the time, I mean, there was moments he was walking down the touchline, mate, going to the fans. It's like after a challenge, right? And he knew, let's see it on a bit. That's what he's doing. I'm like, that's fucking just as brilliant. you then see a cult hero now who's expected to be in that hospitality environment where all the fans are to say thanks to everyone because he's the best talker I've known. You know, if everyone's waiting to vote Donald Trump, vote Alistair Johnston as the next president over there. He'd do well. I know he's Canadian. But I just feel that then he's in there with a bottle of wine. For me, I think it's brilliant. I know I spoke earlier about Ange like that, but who cares? Fuck all that for now. He's becoming the man of the people, but not the people, right? But he is one of these guys who's just seeming to, he's taking it all in his stride. What it takes to be a Celtic player on the park, that physicality, that fitness, that drive. I think he's very tidy on the ball. And see the one thing for a young lad, Connor, composure yesterday. Absolutely outstanding. When we were having rocky moments, he was the one who wasn't. That's the honest truth. See, when we were so many stray passes, they weren't coming for Johnston. Then you see the connection he's got with the fans now by doing that bottle of rosé or bottle of white wine, whatever it was. I just think this is for £2.6 million. Wow.
Yeah, it's once again a fantastic piece of business by the club and by the manager. You know what? He's kind of like the perfect kind of marriage of what Ralston and Juranovic delivered for us, in my opinion. He's got the pace, he's got the composure, he's got the good passing ability, he's got the silkiness, and he's got the do or die, go through a brick wall, get you out the way, fuck you, I'm coming through attitude that Anthony Ralston has. And he's been immense. He can go into, for a young lad, right, who's just been papped at the World Cup and moved across the world, for your first game to be in a pressure cooker environment like Ibrox, right? And they were fucking up for it, man. They were up for it. And for him to come in his first game to be doing that, and you know, the tackles he was putting in, you know, the way he was playing was outstanding, you know, and people maybe thought, oh, maybe a bit of a flash in the pan, but no, he's proved everybody just how good he is. You know, I call him, he's my beloved lumberjack. You know, he's just the kid. He's amazing. I mean, look, he looks like he wouldn't be placing a council estate impossible, but you know, he's brilliant. He's fucking ripped and he's strong and he can talk well. He looks like he'd fucking stamp fuck at you, but then he talks like the nicest boy on earth, and you're just what is up? What is it with you? You're just nothing like I've ever seen. And he gets it, and I hate that phrase because it's so cliche, but you can tell he fucking gets it, you know. When he's sit there and he's beating his chest, and he's like, you know, got his hand up there, and that. It's like, you get it, son. You know what this is all about. You know what you need to do to get in this team to play week in, week out. And granted, he's not got much competition with Ralston being out, but you know, he's been absolutely immense. And you know, I know we sold Juranovic for a wee decent bit of cashola, but he's a miles an improvement, and to get an improvement on a Croatian international right back for, you know, as little as that, it just shows the most amazing piece of business that Ange has done, you know. And honestly, I could talk forever about the boy, but we'll move on because I don't want to keep everybody too late.
Phil, I'll just say before we go, I mean, that he is, for me, everything Juranovic wasn't. Best way I can describe him. But everything everyone thinks what Juranovic has, you know, or had about him, I thought there was a lot of powder puff pish there. I just thought he makes things look good. Johnston doesn't care about how it looks. He just gets on with the fucking job, mate. But he can play a bit too. For me, he's everything in a right back that Juranovic isn't. Anyway, we'll leave it there. 4 minutes to 6. Thanks so much, by the way. Over 200 people on an Easter Sunday on the bus. Amazing. Well, you know, it's amazing what can happen when you win a league title. And we really appreciate it, obviously, as always. Thanks to all you in the chat, because that keeps the conversation flowing. And I think it's only fair before we go, we'll say it one more time. Alfredo Morelos, the walking cheeseburger. Good night.
I mean, you've all that stuff at the start. You know, they won't be playing Tina Turner on the coach on the way home, will they?
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan. He's a Rangers puppet. He's a cheerleader. That's what he is.